Possibility Neurotechnologies is making a middleware device, which is a piece of hardware and software that essentially bridges the gap between brain-controlled technologies and everyday devices. These brain-controlled technologies or brain-computer interfaces, they've been around for about 50 years now, but they haven't actually moved outside of a research environment and into the hands of people who could benefit from them. So that's where our device, the Think2Switch, comes in really bridging that gap so that people can wear these headsets on their heads, it decodes their thoughts, and then Think2Switch acts as that translator to actually use those brain signals to control whatever you've plugged into it. So we've really made brain-controlled technologies accessible and usable by people who could benefit from them. So we created the Think2Switch device out of our research at the Alberta Children's Hospital, where we work with children who have severe quadriplegic cerebral palsy. So the kids that we work with, they can't walk or talk or use their hands, but they're extremely bright children, totally cognitively aware, very intelligent. They just aren't able to interact with the world around them using traditional means like movement to, type buttons on a computer or push a button on a device or use their voice to activate things like Siri or Alexa, but they can control their thoughts. And so we're utilizing these brain-controlled technologies to allow them to participate in life activities using their thoughts.
Minutes, you can learn to Bluetooth for this headset. I feel a little bit wet. Central, temporal. Nice job.
Oh, gotcha.
You can do it. Yeah.
Try a couple more times. You got to
really concentrating on turning it off.
Yes, go. Crushing it. Good job.
Nice job. So keep it spinning.
Perfectionist for the win. Once we get at least 67%, then we can move on. And I'll have you test kind of thinking of the urging of heavy ball. Actually, the two
Awesome.
talk about pulling a bubble.
It is pretty cool. You should try. It's pretty cool.
What are you thinking? Do you think it's
Showcasing at community events like TELUS Spark After Dark or Beakerhead really just helps promote awareness and enhance knowledge of this technology, because a lot of people don't actually know that this technology exists. It seems really futuristic and sci-fi that you can control things using your thoughts. So getting out there and showing it in the community, we're always getting tons of great feedback, making lots of really great connections with people who we otherwise wouldn't meet, and generating a lot of great ideas as well for potential use cases or applications for our technology. So yeah, it really just promotes a lot of great opportunities, and it's a great way to get the community involved in what we're doing. Usually when people are first told that, they can wear this thing on their head, this headset on their head, and control things using their thoughts, they're usually in disbelief. And then when they actually try it out, they just think it's the coolest thing ever. And I love seeing their reactions like, I actually did that, like with my thoughts. I controlled that using my thoughts. And it's super cool to see their reactions because it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, this mind control type of thing. So it's always really fun to see their reactions. Yeah, so we typically instruct people to imagine push because it seems like a fairly easy action to imagine. So on our screen, on our software, there is a ball, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward to imagine that you're pushing that ball with both of your hands, and you really need to imagine kind of what it feels like to do that. It's usually an easy one to imagine, but ideally you would want to identify an action that would be meaningful to the individual themselves, something that they might do on a regular basis. When we're doing our demos with able-bodied individuals who are able to speak, it's usually better to try to identify something that's meaningful for them. So I've always been super interested in neuroscience. I don't know where it started from. I can't remember if it was first in university when I was doing my undergraduate degree. I did a double major in physiology and pharmacology, and I had some neurophysiology and neuropharmacology courses in there that really piqued my interest. And then it was coupled with some personal experiences. So there is a rapidly progressive neurodegenerative disease in my family. It's called Gerstmann-Straussler-Schenker disease, and it presents really similarly to ALS, where you first kind of lose your ability to walk, and then it starts to affect different parts of your body. So you start to lose the ability to move and then speak and breathe. And so, yeah, it's a very devastating disease. And then when I was doing my master's degree, I had the opportunity to focus on neuroscience. So I focused on actually that disease and creating a hypothetical company around that disease, and various situations along the way just kind of, I guess, shed light that this was the path that I had to take following neuroscience. My mom was diagnosed with a brain tumor when I was halfway through my master's. Thankfully, it's the best brain tumor you can have, a meningioma, so it was removed, and she's totally back to normal. But yeah, everything kind of pointed the way to pursue a career in neuroscience, and now here I am. Yeah, so the journey starting Possibility Neurotechnologies, I suppose it began kind of when I started in the research lab where I did my PhD. So Dr. Adam Curtin, he's a pediatric neurologist at the Alberta Children's Hospital. I had heard that he was starting to do research in brain-computer interfaces, which was something that I had just learned about and that I had developed a keen interest in from my master's. So I approached him with an interest in doing research in this space, and it was just kind of the right time. He actually brought me on to his team, given my background in biotechnology commercialization from my master's. So it was a really good fit. He knew that there was a lot of potential for commercialization. When I started, the team was just basically 3 people. And then, throughout the years, I guess throughout the 5 years that I did my PhD, we created this technology, which was really catalyzed by COVID and having to implement this technology in the home because people couldn't come into our lab. And it just kind of fell naturally on me to lead this venture because of my background and because I did my PhD in implementing the technology. So yeah, it kind of just worked out really well, which doesn't happen very often. The journey of Possibility Neurotechnologies was really catalyzed by COVID. So when COVID happened, kids couldn't come into our lab to use the technology anymore. Prior to COVID, kids would just come into the lab, they'd try out the technology for an hour, play some games, try some different activities, and then they would go home and come back again the next week to do the same thing. But when COVID happened, they weren't able to come back into the lab, and we didn't want to deny them access to this life-changing technology, so we had to pivot, and that's really when we were able to implement this in the home. That was successful. They could play games on the computer with their siblings, with their family members, but then we wanted to know, what do kids actually want to use this technology for? And they wanted to control things that weren't just on a computer. They wanted to control lights, music devices, kitchen appliances. So we had to figure out how to bridge that gap. And that's where the Think to Switch was developed. And after seeing how successful it was and the impact that it had, we realized we need to commercialize this technology and expand access to it. There's only so much you can do in a research environment, so we incorporated and started a company. Yeah, so I think what makes our middleware different from what you'd typically find in a research lab is that we've packaged it into this nice product for non-technical people to be able to use and operate and have a good experience interacting with. So we've made it attractive for kids to use, because kids aren't small adults. They have different attention spans, different motivations, and so we needed to make our device motivating for them. So we implemented colors, sounds, and we've really focused on the human aspect of our device and the impact that it can have on the quality of life and well-being for the users, which I think is something that's often overlooked in this field, in the field of brain-computer interface research, is really the human aspect of it and what the impact is on the users. A lot of the research is more focused on, what's the accuracy of the algorithms or the different materials that you can make the hardware out of. And there really is a lack of research into the actual user themselves. I envision our technology changing the lives of children with severe physical disabilities by enabling participation in life activities, which seems very trivial to somebody who's been able to participate freely in activities their whole life. But something as simple as being able to participate in playing a game or turn on a light or control music, something that we would take for granted is a huge success to a child who hasn't been able to do something like that independently before in their lives. So everything that they do, no matter how small it might be to us, is a huge success for them. And it's really the difference between not being able to do something and being able to do something. It's really that black and white. The most rewarding experience I've had in developing this technology is really working with the families, working with them super closely. Throughout my PhD, I was working with 10 families on a weekly basis, meeting with all of them one-on-one, and just really getting to understand how we could make this a life-changing technology for them, and then actually seeing what they've done with the technology. So we've had kids who have started their own Instagram pages to showcase all the things that they do with the technology. Kids are creating paintings. They're selling them all over the world. Kids have started their own business with baking and controlling kitchen appliances, and they are super motivated to spread awareness and show the world what they can do. And I just think that's the coolest thing ever, and it's super, makes me super proud to be able to be a part of that. Yeah, so our technology has already, we've seen the impact on multiple families, which is why we realized we had to expand access to this and commercialize. But a couple of families that come to mind are my friend Claire. She started using BCI when she was 5 years old, and she's now 7. And she really loves baking and cooking. So she controls kitchen appliances, and she has actually started her own business. They've trademarked the name from proceeds that Claire made selling milkshakes at a market, and it's called Claire's Kitchen Food by Thought. So she's officially a business owner, an entrepreneur at the age of 7, which is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, 12:30 or 12:30? I guess it says 12:35. It's good to have 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so we'll practice our spiel in these 2 minutes. We're Possibility Neurotechnologies, and we created the first user-friendly brain world interface, which allows you to control any device using your thoughts and using your brain as a switch. Compared to the existing brain-machine interface companies out there, we have really simplified it down to the fact that it's essentially a binary control, where all the other companies they're trying to do so many other complicated processes, which is why the technology hasn't moved out of a research environment yet and into the hands of people who can use it until us.
That makes sense to me, right? Because I ask and you go, because you can't talk. Oh, I hadn't thought of that, because I can talk.
What is the number of people or the market size of what you're going to sell that allows people who don't have a voice to connect to, any voice controlled device?
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Couldn't have 3 more different sessions.
I know. CDL stands for Creative Destruction Lab, and it's a program for startups that's objectives-based. So there's 4 sessions that are spaced out between set time frames. So when you go into these sessions, you have small group meetings with various mentors. So these mentors are prominent people in the community. They're successful entrepreneurs, investors, scientists, and they are trying to figure out what your business is about and what you need to do to get yourself to the next milestone. So in these small group meetings, you answer questions, you have discussions about some of these hurdles that you might be facing, and then at the end of the session, these mentors will decide whether or not they want to work with you to achieve these objectives by the next session. Yeah, our experience in CDL has been excellent. We've met with some incredible mentors who have helped us immensely, really helping us to focus in on the super important aspects of our company that we need to figure out before we can really make significant progress. I think it's also really helped us to be able to communicate our message to people who have absolutely no idea what we're doing, because when you meet with these different mentors, you only have a limited amount of time. These small group meetings are usually 20 minutes or less, and you have to be able to convey what you're doing in that short period of time. So it's really helped with communication and really helped expand our network to all of these incredible people who can really just help bring us to the next step. So between the small group meetings, you already know who's going to be in those small group meetings. So we always do our research beforehand, figure out who's going to be in which room, and we figure out what their background is, what their experience is, so that we can try to anticipate what kind of questions they might ask. And I feel like we try to plan what we're going to do going into these rooms, but it never goes as planned, of course. But yeah, we try to do our best and get a feel for who's in the room and what they might want to know about what we're doing. Yeah, so we always, when we go into these rooms, we always start out with giving kind of like a 30-second pitch about what we're doing. And I always actually physically bring our device with us to show them, like, this is the headset you put on your head. It looks like this. I'll even do a little demo and show them the Think to Switch box, outline kind of some of the features of the box so that they have a good understanding of how this works and how this could be beneficial to people with quadriplegia and people with significant disabilities. Yeah, when we did the virtual sessions, it was a lot more difficult than in person. It just was kind of chaotic because there were so many people in the rooms and you can't always see everybody who's on the screen. So sometimes someone would be asking a question and I couldn't see them, and there were quite a few more mentors in these virtual rooms. I think there was maybe 5 or 6, and typically there's only 3 or 4 mentors in person. So yeah, it was definitely different. So the virtual session, I feel like it was a big leap for us because it was only our second session. We only had, our experience from our first session to build off of, and we were prepped to, put together this presentation to summarize what we did. And so I was going in there thinking, okay, I'm going to, do this little presentation and then people are going to ask questions. And that was just not how it went at all. As soon as we got in the room, the virtual room, people just started firing off questions. And I had made these slides to explain all these questions, but never had an opportunity to put them up. So it was, it was pretty nerve-wracking. And I think if you were on that call, you could definitely tell. So yeah, it was a big change compared to our first session. Maybe it wouldn't have been as nerve-wracking or as big of a leap if maybe this was like the third session, so we could have already gotten a feel for what these sessions are like. I think there was also a big difference between the types of mentors who we had, whereas in the first session we had a lot of scientists and people with medical backgrounds who were asking a lot of questions about kind of the more technical and clinical aspects of our technology, whereas in the second session there were a lot of investors, and so they were asking a lot of questions that were really heavily focused on the financial aspects of our business. The hardest part of the event for our team, I think, was, I guess, the technical challenges. So we wanted to have the whole team together because, I think for optical purposes looks good when your team is actually physically together in a room. So that's what we did, and we tried to connect it to the big TV that was in the room. But sometimes trying to navigate the computer and fix what's going on the TV, I think it just added too much to our already intense sessions, and yeah, just made everything a little bit more chaotic.
Hi. Hey. So we have some news.
Yeah.
We made it!
Nice try. Had you for like 1 second.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna last long.
Spy in the room who's not supposed to say anything, saying something, or?
Yeah. He left now, but he spilled everything.
Yeah. Telling our colleagues that we made it to the next round was super exciting because honestly, after that session, like I had no idea how it went, and I think that was the feeling across the board. Like it's hard to get a good read on people when things are virtual. You can't, you can't see everybody's body language or really even interpret their feelings from kind of what they're saying. So it was hard to, get a good read on what the outcome would be. So we were really excited and definitely very happy that we made it to the next round. Winning, or I guess it's not really winning, but making it through to the next round in CDL every time just really boosts our confidence in what we're doing and really provides kind of that extra validation and that what we're doing really is viewed by more people than just ourselves as something that is important and something that can be successful and scalable. And so making it through to the next rounds, just really adds kind of that stamp of approval. And if we can be a CDL graduate, it will really add to the credibility of our company because CDL is a highly esteemed program that people all over the world know about. So, hopefully we can get that stamp of approval after session 4. My advice to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to go into the startup world would be to get out there and start networking and start talking to people who have been in the place where you want to go. Start talking to other entrepreneurs, start talking to investors or just business people in general to really get a feel for what you're going to have to put in because it's a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of grit and resilience to keep going in this space because you're starting off with nothing but an idea. A lot of the times not even any money. And so you've got to be working super hard with little reward at the start. So you have to be really motivated and determined and surround yourself with great people, people who have been there before, people who you can turn to when you come to a hurdle, who can offer you guidance and advice because they have been in your shoes before.
I mean, now I am still excited because now we have 4 mentors.
Yes.
At least we get some excitement for Friday when we find out who the other 2 mentors are.
Yeah.
Mentorship is, I would say, one of the most important aspects of entrepreneurship because these mentors are people who have been in your shoes before. They all started out in the same place that you did. They've encountered all of the same challenges that you're going to encounter, and they can help guide you along that path and help you make the right decisions to keep moving forward or potentially to know when to let go of something. Mentorship is an incredibly important aspect of entrepreneurship. Your mentors also have these widespread networks, so they will connect you with the right people to get you down the right path. It's really important to be flexible in what you're doing and to be open to doing something new and pivoting when things don't look like they're going to be working out. So when you're trying to achieve these small milestones along the way, and you're really trying to figure out if your idea is feasible and could be successful one day, you're doing like customer discovery to figure out, do people even want this? And you're doing product market fit to figure out, okay, now I have this thing that people said they wanted. Let's see if they actually wanted. And yeah, hitting these little milestones along the way will give you an idea of if, yes, what you have is something that is going to be a successful product that people will actually buy, or if you need to pivot and recreate it a little bit, or not even recreate it, but modify it or reshape what you're doing so that it is something that people want to buy. So when you pivot, you might have to, take a step back, but ultimately it's going to lead you to building a product that's going to be successful.
Being a founder.
Yeah.
These past few years.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I've learned in being a founder is that it can feel like a pretty lonely place, having a ton of responsibility and feeling like a complete imposter, and feeling like you have no idea what you're doing sometimes. And I think that that's pretty common among most founders. I've actually heard quite a few people talk about this, and actually on one of the podcasts that I listened to, that was a big focus for Brian Chesky, who is the founder of Airbnb, and he talked all about how it can be a very lonely place. And so I think just realizing that you're not alone, and that there's everyone who's been a founder or an entrepreneur has been there before and has experienced the same feelings that you're experiencing. And so just making sure that you utilize your network and connect with people who have been there before so you can talk about these things and feel less lonely than you might be feeling at the time. Yeah, the Calgary community is incredibly supportive. I've said this many, many times coming from Ontario and originally coming out here for school. I've talked about it with respect to my education and how I just feel like Calgary offers more opportunity than I've ever had before. And this community is just so supportive. Everyone just wants you to succeed and wants to help you get to where you need to get to. So everybody's willing to make a connection or, just chat with you for a few minutes to see what they can do to help. We actually we were debating between applying to CDL Neuro, which is in Toronto, and it has a specific focus on neurotechnology, which is perfect for what we're doing. But we ultimately decided to stay in Calgary and pursue CDL Rockies Prime because of the community here. I think one of the most important skills to have as a founder is being able to communicate what you're doing to a group of people who have absolutely no background in your field and have absolutely no, technical expertise. With us, we're explaining this to children, and being out in the community and doing these community events, I think is extremely valuable to build on that skill and be able to present your technology in an extremely simple and efficient way that people are going to immediately understand what it is that you're doing. I'm really excited to actually get our technology out there and get it into the hands of people who could benefit from it and just see what people do with it. Already with our small, pilot program out of our research lab, we've already seen the impact that it's had on you know, this small group of families in Calgary and all the incredible things that they're doing, starting their own companies. And all of this was not things that we told them to do. These were all things that they have wanted to do themselves, and now they're able to achieve it. So I'm really excited to get this out there more widespread and see all the achievements that people have using our technology.